All right, guys, welcome back to the Short Story Long podcast. I'm your host, Sam Derrickson, joined by my co-host, Andrew Dial.
What's up, guys?
And another new special guest host, we have Mr. Cody Hartke.
How we doing?
All right, well, it's been a little bit since we've had an official podcast recorded in the studio. And for those of you that have reached out wanting the follow-up for the King of the Hammers updates, basically you got to get it's not it. No,
this isn't it.
You keep waiting because we're waiting on Boss Man. He is currently balls to the wall getting moved into the new shop. He's been really, really busy with that. So I'm hoping when he's all kind of squared away there, he'll come down here and we can shoot a 30-minute episode wrapping up our experience out in California. So I have a ton of what's new, but I'm not really going to get into much because it's been a long time since we've done one of these. Is there anything notable?
Be here all day.
Is there anything notable you want to talk about, Dozer?
No.
Okay.
I guess.
Nothing
too exciting.
This Saturday, Friday and Saturday is the Indy Cylinder Head swap meet over in Indianapolis. That's the kind of the unofficial inaugural year start for the swap meet season, because then the following month we have the Altamont swap meet. So I posted the rotating assembly for sale, hoping I could bring it there and sell it. No luck, but we are going to have a booth set up at the Altamont swap meet.
When is that?
It is, Dozer, it's April something.
8th or 9th, I think.
May have to come to that.
It's the second turkey season for the Southern Zone. Whatever that is.
I've not been to one in a long time. Be neat to see.
Well, it's normally a good time in the spring. So
fall was kind of lame, but
we, thanks to Dozer, have a swap meet space. And I guess
all the junk.
Yeah, I guess Dozer's going to go turkey hunting, and me and Jerry are going to try to sell some junk.
Or maybe I just won't go turkey hunting and go.
It's one day. It's one day. You'll be fine.
Until you see Snapchats of big old Toms running around, you're like, I should be out there.
Turkey hunting doesn't do that much for me, honestly.
Okay, all right.
But, speaking of killing things, I did experience my first cow butchering this weekend.
I did see a Snapchat.
I've done untold numbers of deer and
a little different.
Lots of pigs, but this was a whole different ball game. I mean, giant.
A lot more there.
Yeah, there's a lot there. So it was cool.
Takes more than an hour.
Yeah, we butchered one day and then slaughtered the next day so they could hang for when they butcher again in 2 weeks. And it was the liver is like the size of a 55-pound dog food bag.
Right.
It's just giant.
And there's 4 stomachs.
Yeah, and it's not near as greasy as pigs.
Okay.
I've noticed. So it was cool.
So whose cows were they?
I think some Jansen from Watson area.
Oh, it wasn't like one of your family friends' cows or whatever.
Oh yeah, the guy works for Ryan and his dad.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So yeah, he was someone we knew. Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I know
his real name, but
because I know your uncle, like you just get a pig from him and butcher that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got you. So, all right. Well, I have 2 emails. You want me to read them or save them?
You can read them. Because if you don't read them tonight, I don't know when we're going to.
Yeah, it could be another year before we do one of these things.
That's right.
So these are both from my sister. The first one, she's talking about episode 39, and she says, "Wow, open playing Eminem. It's been a hot minute since I've heard him." That was the Guess Who's Back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
She says, "Yes, absolutely. Bring hoodies to your merch shop now." So
do we not have hoodies?
No, just T-shirts and huggies.
Okay. I'll have to add that.
And then she asked about me being interviewed. I'm guessing
Stacey David?
Stacy, yeah, I'm guessing Stacy did. I don't know. She says, "See if your big sis can get a copy." I don't have a copy to even hand out. So you were talking about coming with ideas to trigger the fans. I think you need to do a podcast of you recording you guys trying different things and saying what happens. So I'm not really sure exactly what she's referring to there.
That could be interesting.
Like tell my wife she's got a big butt and see if I get
slapped in the face. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So, Tiara, if you're listening, please elaborate on what kind of things that me and Dozer need to do and get our reaction. She loves your analogy of old car parts are dancing partners, and that's why new stuff often messes up the dance. And she says, no, you've gone to the dark side having a Apple phone. So
Indeed. Every day I think about like things I want to talk about, the difference between Apple and Android. Like I like this and I don't like that. And then when we get here, I can't remember.
So
Sound like me.
So there's a Notes app in an Apple phone. You can just
I'm sure Siri would probably just
you say,
the note
yeah,
for me.
hey Siri, make a note. I hate this about you, and she'll be like, that is very hurtful. Please do not
I
say
always
things.
tell
like
myself that for like Christmas gifts and birthday
Yes,
gifts.
yeah, I'm the
and then
same way.
it comes time and I'm like,
And then, so for episode 42 was the Hammer Time episode. She says, sorry for applying so late. Been off sick for about 3 weeks now. She's doing fine now. But Patreon is basically just allows your loyal listeners to support you monthly for a certain amount. You can have various tier amounts and offer something at each level. For example, tier 1 for $5 a month. Our undying appreciation and a guaranteed question submitted that we will ask and answer on the air. Tier 2 would be $10 a month. You get all previous tier goodies plus early access to our weekly podcast. And then I send them out on Tuesday versus Wednesday. Tier 3 for $15 a month. All previous tier goodies plus bonus content like a blooper reel / a podcast that covers special info that you won't share outside of the Patreon group / discount at the merch store, etc. So tier 3, bad news, we don't have bloopers. We just post that shit. It's just what you see is what you get.
So it's kind of like OnlyFans, but for our mouth noises.
Exactly. It's OnlyFans without showing our buttholes. So as far as setting one up, she's never done it, but Google can definitely help you here. So she just thought to have some extra income will allow us to upgrade equipment and help pay for vehicle parts, etc., that you can use for fun and podcast content. Which I like her thought there because when we first started this thing, we wanted to do something, and you explain it to your wife that it was a business expense.
Yeah, it was going to get your Comanche.
Oh yeah,
It was a business expense. We needed something to talk about on the episode.
exactly. So
sounds like I need a business.
That's right. You do.
allegedly, you can set one of those up on the internet for next to nothing.
That's right. All right. Well, let's get into it. So today's episode is one that has been the subject has been on the list since day one.
And we have one loyal listener that will be upset that he's not here, but we can do this again. It's not
Okay.
It's not saying we can only do this once, but continue.
So it is. We've been wanting to do a gun episode, but we wanted to do it with a guest, and we have a couple people in mind for guests, but getting everybody lined up. Well, somehow Cody texted me about something, or maybe me and Sam were talking. I was also talking to Cody about gun stuff, and I was like, "Hey, podcast guns," and he's like, "Yeah, sure." So it just kind of fell together.
Anything guns.
That's right. So
let's introduce Cody real fast. Cody, what do you do?
Why don't we just do the questions? We got
Okay.
questions here.
How
We-
long
we
have
used
you?
to do-
We used to have guests on and do questions. How long have you been a listener of the Short Story Long podcast?
Oh, I don't even know how long you guys been doing it.
One of the OG.
I will admit I've pilfered through some of the podcasts and not listened to all of them.
Okay. I won't hold it against you.
Listen to pretty much all of the King of the Hammer stuff. I would say probably every bit of a year. It's kind of my go-to when I'm sitting in the basement reloading ammo.
Nice.
Okay, we've been leaving him short, I guess, on content.
It still amazes me how many people actually want to hear us do this thing. So
I know. All right, so how do you know me and Sam?
Dozer. The first time I met you, I think it was at Joe and Patty Jansen's. I don't know how you were there. We were all
Probably Charlie
camping.
Jansen.
Okay, that's true. Full wheeler ride and things of that
Yeah.
nature, shooting skeet.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I mean, I knew of you, but then I'd say probably when Eric Custer worked for my old man,
Yeah.
and we went jeeping over in Missouri with
That was
over
the
it.
marshmallow incident. Well, and you kind of grew up near where my wife grew up.
Yes.
And
So
I
I
feel
knew.
like you had blown through, on a bicycle or something.
Well,
every now
and
and
so I was
again.
good friends with Trey, and he lived just down the road from Laren and them. So that's kind of how I knew of you, who you were.
In full disclosure, I hated Cody Hartke.
I don't know
so
why.
much. He was
Why?
a mouthy little son
You've
of a
told me this
bitch.
before.
Okay.
I couldn't stand him.
So are you the same age as Dozer or older or
I'm
younger?
32, so he's a little older
I'm
than me.
35.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, yeah, he would come by, mouth about some bullshit, but oh, that ain't a real Jeep, blah blah blah, and just like I don't know, like Trey had a little like mini crotch rocket, they had like
Little weed
tiny-
eater motor.
yeah, and they would just buzz off down the road like kids.
Yep.
So then we went to Missouri canoeing and jeeping, and he went down there with us. And it's like, I was like, dude, Eric, you are bringing Cody Hartke. Like, what the hell? He's like, oh, it's my boss's son, And Eric don't say no to nobody.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
the nicest guy
He is.
ever.
Teddy bear.
And I mean, we had a pretty good time, I think, that time.
Oh,
So
I had a blast.
after that, I was like, Cody Hartke's not too
Yeah,
bad.
watching Jerry, burn the tires off of the Nova in the driveway that might have been 20 yards long before it hit the highway.
Yeah, that sounds like my father-in-law.
Yeah.
What about Sam?
Sam, I met through Dozer and I believe through Cody Willenberg at
Mm-hmm.
the shop a little bit, and just kind of got to know him through that. And
Never been pulled over by Cody.
no.
We could probably change that.
Well, my day job now doesn't involve pulling a whole lot of people over. It
Fair enough.
still can, but yeah.
So what is your day job?
So my full-time occupation is a police officer, and then I work part-time for Accuracy Firearms here in town.
So it's always good to have your buddy working at the gun store.
Absolutely.
It's worked well for Dozer, maybe not for Laren, but what she doesn't know doesn't hurt.
The funniest story is I went in there and bought a gun that was on consignment. That was Cody's gun.
Really?
I took another $50 off for him.
I appreciated that.
Was that Hornet?
No, I've
That was
got
that
a
street
high standard riot shotgun.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember you telling me about that.
So that did you have to give them commission on that?
That one I don't believe, no.
Nice.
No, usually as an employee they treat you pretty well. So
Yeah, I always thought in the beginning they were always super expensive, but really anymore it's not too bad, and the service. I've had some issues with a couple things, and the service is always so great. I just tell people it's worth the extra.
yeah, no, that's one thing I really try to work on too when I'm there, is just to do the right thing, make everybody happy. But I've also learned that pricing is it's all dependent on what our places that we buy it from are willing to sell it to us for too.
Yeah.
There's times the same thing we might be able to buy a lot cheaper than we could normally. So that
makes sense.
price reflects for the customer.
Well, what are your hobbies?
Too many.
Yeah.
I
feel
enjoy
that on a personal level.
I enjoy cars, but obviously guns, anything outdoors, hunting, fishing, spending time with the kids and the family is the forefront. But I would say my more important hobbies are probably revolving around shooting and hunting. So.
Yeah. You ever sit down every now and again? I'm like, why do I have so many hobbies? Because everything is interesting to me.
Mhm.
Anything you can tinker with, but then they're all super expensive. I'm not into metal detecting or something like that.
Nothing cheap.
Yes.
Nothing boring.
Exactly. Maybe that's how they get you, because if it's exciting, it's expensive, maybe.
Yep. Well, and if you want to do it right, it's usually never cheap.
That's true. Well, so usually this questionnaire from here is about cars, but we're going to do about cars and guns. And then Sam and I are going to join in, because me and Sam have probably never done this either.
Definitely not on the podcast.
And we'll just do the gun part, because otherwise we're getting a huge tangent, but Cody will do the car and gun part.
Sure.
So what was your first car and your first gun?
So my first car was a 1992 Chevy S10.
Nice.
Dad found it. One of his customers had it sitting out in a horse pasture, blown head gasket. The horse had chewed on it, and it was previously wrecked. So if it wasn't waxed, you could see the two different colors of red paint.
Fair enough.
Okay.
We called it the Red Rocket.
Which, why not?
Mhm,
Why
absolutely.
wouldn't you?
It was a manual. It did not have air conditioning. Great little vehicle. Dad helped me rebuild the engine on it and get it up and going. And I drove it for probably a good year. But then after I got another vehicle, I kept it around and drove it periodically. So
Was it 4-wheel drive?
no,
Oh,
two-wheel peel.
no.
Had a bunch of sandbags in the back during the wintertime.
Oh, yeah.
I got real good at talking on the phone and eating or drinking while driving a stick shift. It worked pretty good. So
It's not easy to do. Most millennials cannot even drive a stick shift, let alone
or
talk
even
on-
know what it is.
Right.
So fortunately, with my dad, he taught me how to drive a stick and stuff a long time ago. So it worked out.
So what was your first gun?
So the first gun I was gifted was a Marlin Model 60 22. I don't think you could shoot it 3 times without it jamming.
Yeah.
It was a Marlin Model 60, you know, what they're known for. Shot a lot of rounds through that thing. It at one time had a shortened stock. Dad had bought an extra stock for it, shortened it down. It actually did better with the full length stock. Why, I couldn't tell you, because Model 60s aren't my thing and I don't really care.
Yeah, those are like the cheaper ones or the mags under
the tube fed magazine.
Mhm.
I think it hold 13 or 15 rounds, something like that.
Yeah.
And it had a Simmons fixed 4-power on it, I think. Garbage. Like, it looked like you were looking through fog. It was terrible. But at the age of like 5, it was the best thing in the world. So.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. You know, and I think Dad said he gave $60 for it.
Yeah, I can see that.
So very fitting. So
Very good.
I think the first gun I purchased was a Model 700 Remington in 223.
Okay.
That was like my first me purchase,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all by myself.
Had to get it so you go coyote hunting.
Yeah, and do whatever with it.
Yeah.
And it was actually kind of impractical. It was a heavy, long barrel. It wasn't something you could tote around and do much with.
It's all about the accuracy, you know.
Do you still have either one of those?
I do have the Model 60. The 700 was chopped up and built a little bit more of a custom platform rifle on. So,
But do you still have that receiver?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
So cool. That was like it's been rebuilt, but you still have it.
Mhm.
Okay.
So my first gun that was given to me was a Remington 870 20 gauge youth that had a shotgun barrel and an open sight slug gun barrel. So after hunting with it a few years, I'm like, I need a scope. So I saved up. I bought a Leupold 3x9 scope for, I think I gave $100 for it used. And I bought one of those saddles because mine didn't have. And dude, I don't know how many deer slugs I shot through that trying to get it sighted in and grouped, and going out to Clarence, the gunsmith, you know, when he was out in the country, and
Yep.
we would like switch the pins out for screws and blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, I just don't think like it's just not going to get any better than this. You know what I mean?
Live with it.
And so I
Just get closer.
pulled that barrel off and put it on consignment at Miller Guns back when they were in town.
Yeah.
And I bought a cantilever barrel
Mm-hmm.
and then hunted with that a couple of years. And that was my wife's gun for a while, but I still do have that gun. And then the first gun that I bought myself. So do you remember, you were probably 13-ish, but when I was 16 years old, there was a gun shop in Draves called John's Guns.
Yep.
And me and Ryan and Cody Martin would go in there every day after school. Almost every day we would go in there. And he had the big gun Bible. And every day we'd look, what's the fastest cartridge there was? And he would sit and flip through that. And we'd say, what's the biggest there is? You know, we'd sit there and read about the 700 nitro mag and all that stuff. So we were 16, so we went in there all the time. And then the day I turned 18, I bought I wanted a high-powered rifle, but my dad said I didn't need to buy one because he already had a 223 and I could use it anytime I wanted. Needed to save my money. So his cousin had a 22 Hornet when we went coyote hunting one time, he's like, "Oh, this 22 Hornet's great. Like you can shoot it without earplugs and all this stuff." And just sold me on it. 22 Hornet was what I needed. So I bought the day I turned 18. I bought that. Actually, before I turned 18, I had him order it, and then when I turned 18, I went in there, filled out the paperwork, all that stuff, and I bought an H&R single shot, and I wanted the one with the super heavy barrel, and like the 223s and the 243s, like the ultra slugger.
You could switch
stuff.
barrels out on them.
Yeah. Well, this came in and it had a pencil barrel. And I was like, oh, and I'm like you, like,
there goes your
it's all about looks.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
I got a bull barrel.
It don't matter how good it shot, and I just wanted a bull barrel. So I was like, I think it might have even had iron sights on it. And I was like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. So
did he order the wrong one, or did you just not know what you were ordering?
I don't know if they made a 22 Hornet and a big, long, heavy barrel. They probably didn't.
Okay.
That's probably the only
Don't
one
need
they
it.
had. And I didn't reload, and I found out 22 Hornet ammo, even back then, was super expensive. So I bought, back then you could buy brass on eBay. So I bought a bunch of brass on eBay, way overpaid for it. I bought a whole Lee reloading setup from Cabela's. I had my dad order it.
Was it like the little bitty tray with the dipper and
Yeah.
so it wasn't actually a press?
No, it was a press.
Okay.
They had it was like, I think it's called the Challenger.
Mhm.
So the press, I still have it. I broke it, but I still have it because you can get parts for it. But like on an RCBS, when you get to the top, it cams over. This doesn't cam over. So depending on how hard you pushed on it was how, I didn't know nothing about shoulder setback or nothing back then. But like when I was measuring case overall, depending on how hard you pushed on it, how far your bullet would go in. And I read somewhere online that.
So it was the little press that doesn't actually mount.
Yeah,
They make one that they doesn't. That
no,
doesn't
it
mount.
wasn't. It's not that.
Okay.
It mounted on the table. But Cabela's Lee had a kit that had a primer, the powder drop, no scale. Oh, the scale was a balance beam scale.
Yep.
Balance beam scale, and everything's plastic as hell. So I bought that, and back then there was no reloading information on the internet.
You had to have a book.
Somehow I found a book, or I made a copy of somebody's book for 22 Hornet, and I wanted to shoot 55 grain VMAX, which is not anywhere close to what a Hornet's designed for. It shoots too slow and all this. So I found out somewhere that I think it's John Seamer told me the best powder there is little gun for a 22 Hornet. So I bought me a pound of little gun and 55 grain VMAX, about 100 of them, about 100 primers, and 1 pound of powder, and I was in business.
A pound will last you a while on a Hornet.
Yes, I think it, I want to say it was around 12 grains only.
And you probably paid about $18 a pound for
I
it.
did. It was cheap, but John Seamer was trying to get me to shoot a 40. They made a 45 grain round nose bullet for a Hornet, and he's like, "This is what you need." I was like, "No, not like it ain't got a plastic colored tip on it. It's got a plastic cover." He's like, "Well, those aren't going to expand," and I was like, "Whatever, old man. You're a crazy old man. Like, don't talk to me." So, hindsight, I didn't realize little gun is super sensitive on max loads. Like you can be okay. Like I didn't know how to read primers or anything. So,
Not many do.
and I was trying to make this 22 Hornet shoot like a 223. So it was so hot, the brass would stick in the chamber. And I remember I took it coyote hunting. So took it coyote hunting so many times, and I missed so many coyotes with it. But the problem is when you would shoot once, the brass would stick in it. So you were done for the day. And you try to find a stick to jam down the barrel, but finding a 22 caliber stick or less is just not a thing.
20 inches long or better.
It's 20 inches long. So
Straight.
So I was obviously not smart enough at the time to bring a cleaning rod. So I would shoot one time, miss a coyote, and then have to drive home and knock the casing out of it. The only thing I can figure is I probably wasn't trimming them right because how hard I was pushing them, and there's no shoulder really because they would grow like crazy. So I was either not trimming them right, or I was just shooting them entirely too hot, or both.
A combination of
It could have been a combination of both. So I was super jazzed to make it a 22K Hornet, and then I ended up just selling it, I think.
just long gone.
I bought a 243 WSSM in the parking lot of the gun shop from Rodney Brown. Do you know him?
Don't know the guy.
I figured you'd know him.
Is he from
He's
Straws area?
Yes.
Okay, I do. I think I do know
He
of
does
him.
a lot of, or at least used to do a lot of like varmint shooting and stuff.
Yep. I think he's come shoot our bowling pin shoot a couple times.
Yeah, he's super tall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Samuel, I got kind of long winded on that, but I was just I was hitting nostalgia big time.
You are definitely poisoned by nostalgia over there. So I've got a list here on my phone. I'm trying to find the brand name of it, but the first gun I was gifted was that 44 caliber black powder revolver.
Okay.
So my dad was like given this gun by somebody he did some work for, and this old lady or whatever, her husband died, and she was like, do you want to take this or whatever? And he's like, I don't want it. And I don't know how old I was like, well, I want it, so
Your dad gave you a pistol.
yeah. So
Black powder cartridge.
No.
That's like a muzzle loader.
Like you have to
Yeah.
Like a flintlock.
Yeah.
I'll show it to you when we're done. It's pretty cool.
It's the one where you put the cylinder, you put everything in the cylinder, and the gun has where the lever comes out, and you load it at the bottom
So
of the gun.
it's like I don't remember them. I was trying to look it up.
Tap and ball, I think they call that.
It's a
You get too old, and I lose interest, and I don't know a lot about it.
It's a reproduction of a Navy Colt. So
Yep.
the original Colt revolver was a metal frame, and the Navy is a brass frame. So I didn't know anything about guns because my dad's not a gun guy. I never had guns growing up or whatever. So this was the first thing I ever got. So I went to Gander Mountain in Terre Haute, and I got the black powder. I got a powder measure. I got the blasting caps, percussion caps, and some 44 caliber round balls, and the wads and the bore butter and all the stuff.
Oh man, the bore butter.
And this thing, it is fun. Like,
Can you hit anything?
No. Well, define anything. Like, I could hit that wall over there.
I've tried to shoot it several times, and we've never got it to go off.
Oh.
So it needs
at least with him. You may have back when it was.
At this point, it needs like not restoration, but all the nipples need to come out and get ultrasonic clean and everything. So anyway, you can take the cylinder out, and then you measure your powder out into all 6 cylinders, and then you put the little wads in. And then you put it back in the revolver in the frame, and you spin the cylinder around, and there's a lever underneath the barrel that you pull down, and it pushes the ball down into the cylinder, and it packs the powder charge and seats the ball in the cylinder. And then you take a little blasting cap, percussion cap, you put it on each nipple.
Like the old cap guns. That had
Exactly.
Yes.
And then it's single action, and you pull the hammer back, aim, pull the trigger, and about this much time, the hammer comes forward, smacks the percussion cap.
Then you wait another
what feels like eternity. Like you're about to turn and look down the barrel, like, is anything coming out this thing? And then a huge cloud of white smoke, and then some recoil, and then nothing gets hit downrange. But
you really got to have your flinch under control for the
absolutely. But it is a blast to shoot. And I want to go shoot it like right now. Like, let's go see if we can get this sucker to go off, because it is so much fun. And then you don't know if you hit anything for another 30 seconds because you got to wait for literally the smoke to clear. But you feel like a wild, wild west cowboy, because like in all the old John Wayne movies, like each gun going off just like huge clouds of smoke come out of these guns.
That's why they shot on their horses so that they could ride through the
Ride the
Smoke,
Clear
exactly.
quicker.
So you probably better off shooting off horseback. You're probably better off hitting something. But
Gonna run at it.
yeah. So that was the first one I was gifted. And the first one I bought was like probably the month I turned 18. I wish I could remember the name of the gun shop, but it was on Broadway in Mattoon, right across from where Little Mexico was at.
It had kind of a catchy name.
It did. I don't remember what it was now, but it was just a little tiny gun shop. I mean, he had like one countertop gun case with like 10 pistols in it, and then one like those like old grandpa like whitetail deer wood glass front gun cabinets with some long guns in it, and then he had like some pegboard behind the counter with like 5 or 6 more guns.
Sometimes those are the best.
But so me and Joe Tutt would go in there like you did every day after school and just hang out and talk about guns and do gun stuff all the time. And then when I turned 18, I bought a Remington 870 Police Magnum with the walnut stock with the I don't know what it's called, but it's like the ring style forend. So instead of having like the Wingmaster like checkers, it's just
ribbed for pleasure.
It's ribbed for your pleasure. Yeah. So it was a oil rubbed walnut stock, and we growing up, I think I've talked about this maybe before on the podcast, but we didn't know how good we had it because Joe's uncle, I can't remember what he did for a living now, but he had a crap ton of money, and he had a little cabin out in the woods out at Trilla, and he had a range set up in his cabin, and there was I don't know, probably 10 by 20 shed there on this concrete pad. And at the concrete pad, there was like a rifle rack and a picnic table. And then inside the shed, a little roll-up door, there was a pallet of Remington, whatever, dove loads or whatever, and a pallet of white flyer
Clay
pigeons, and a mech, I think.
Yep.
Reloader?
Mech reloader.
No, not mech. Then the thrower.
Okay, but they may have made a thrower. I don't know.
Yeah, they might have.
Anyway, this was it had the tilt and the wobble, and it had the report doubles, had a controller, had a foot switch, had all the things, and it was on this little dolly. You wheel it out there, stack like a whole box of pigeons in it, and
It was a fancy one.
oh yeah, and like you would you could set up different modes, but like it would change direction. It would go up and down and left and right, and you setting it behind, you wouldn't know where the next pigeon was coming from. And every weekend from the time I was 18 to the time I was probably 22, 23, we would go out there, and you just like leave a 5 for a box of shells, leave a 5 for a box of pigeons in this little coffee can inside the thing. And I'd hate to know how many rounds I shot through that 870. And I shot so many rounds through it that it is like just the oil in my hands have rubbed that stock and like worked that stock, and it's shiny like this part of the table over here. And if I put 10 rounds through that thing, I put 5,000 rounds through that gun, and maybe more. I don't know.
Back when you could afford to do it.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
doubt.
Yeah.
Shells were $4 a box at Walmart.
Yeah.
You could buy double A's for $6.25.
So anyway, that is my first gun I purchased, and I still own it. Still own both.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, what got you into cars and guns, Cody?
Well, for cars, I mean, growing up with a dad that's been a mechanic for, well, I guess probably just shortly out of high school when he started wrenching and racing and doing that kind of stuff. I kind of grew up, when I got old enough, I would go hang out at the shop with him. I'd bring a four-wheeler or something to work on in the summertime while he was doing his thing, working on cars. But that's kind of how I got my start there. At a young age, he always had me fixing my own stuff. You know, basically, it's a good quality or a good trait to have if you can kind of fix your own things. Guns, kind of the same way. I was a little older. Obviously, he started me young with a 22 and moved on from there. But Dad kind of picked up collecting a few revolvers. He's kind of a big lever gun and revolver guy. And as I kind of got older, I progressed into, enjoying guns a lot more and took it to the next level. And then shortly after accuracy started, I, started working for those guys, and it just went. I guess you could say uphill, downhill. I don't know what's proper, but it went a direction. Momentum. Yeah, it went a direction from there. And now it's kind of everything.
Yeah.
So,
well, my answer on what got me into guns was basically the same thing my dad did.
Yep.
He was always hunting. We hunted, and guns kind of trip the same trigger as hot rodding, I think. It's a mechanical thing. You try to make better and makes loud noises, and it, you find a lot of guys who are into cars are also into guns and vice versa.
Yep.
It's red-blooded American stuff.
Yeah. What got you into it, Samuel? Joe?
Joe.
Joe?
So he was a good friend of mine all through middle school and high school. And going out and hanging at his house, his dad was a big gun guy and was into a lot of classic, like, military type stuff, and was into like Army surplus. And he was like a prepper before prepper was kind of cool or mainstream at all. And I always thought it was cool because he had this great big gun safe in his office, and then Joe had his own gun safe in the garage.
Ooh.
And like we just make a practice out of like just pulling around, like just be like, Tim, go get us a gun. And he'd just pull out like I don't even know, like the most random fucking like military gun, or he had a 10 millimeter 1911 that I thought was just cool as
man,
shit.
Now you got Dozer. He's wanting one.
And we would just we'd pull them out. He'd talk about them, and we'd take them apart to see how they worked and clean them and put them back together and put them back in the safe and do it again next week. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what I had. That revolver first, and I didn't like. It was just sitting in my dad's sock drawer for like 5 years before I even got to play with it. But that didn't really get me excited until I started hanging out with somebody who actually shoots guns. And my dad hasn't shot anything since he was like my age, basically, just on the farm type stuff. So, yeah, I'd say it was Joe that got me into guns.
Nice. So what is your favorite car and gun you have owned?
Well, car-wise, short of my buggy that I built a couple years ago, I did have a car back in college that was really cool, and it really wasn't.
We've all had them.
Yeah.
I got one right now, PT Cruiser.
Well, one of my friends loved it, and my favorite part about it was it had the auto seatbelts. You didn't have to put your seatbelt on.
Oh, man.
It was great.
That and pop-up headlights are two things the auto industry needs to bring back.
And I don't even remember what year. I think it was in the 90s, maybe like a 97, but it was a Nissan Maxima 4-door. And they considered it a 4-door sports car. So on the side of it, it said 4DSC. And I caught hell for that thing, but it was a riot. It was one of them cars that was so cheap. You get in it, you stand on the gas pedal and just go,
right.
Red line, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's cheap. It's just going to get me there. It didn't have a speedometer. So in the dash, I had taped, at cruising RPMs, about what my speeds were for like, I don't know, I had 3 or 4 different marks. So if I was, at real low RPMs, I knew I was in like a 5 mile an hour range, of where I was. And I don't know that I ever got pulled over for speeding in that car. Surprising.
It's not a bad looking car. I would take this.
Let me see. Yep.
I would take this vintage Maxima over like an 08 Maxima.
Nice.
It
almost looks European.
It kind of looks like a Sentra almost,
yeah.
like a Nissan Sentra, which would have been the 2-door version of that car, I'm guessing.
Probably, yeah.
Cool.
And if nobody here believes in like the ozone machines, when I acquired that car, someone allowed a cat to live in it for a while, and it stunk horribly. Couldn't get it out. Tried cleaning it. Somebody's like, "Hey, throw this ozone machine in there." overnight, it was a game changer. The smell was gone, and my now wife would actually not complain from sitting in it.
Yeah, I am a Kool-Aid drinker of the ozone machines for sure, because I grew up working with the mold and fire damage restoration guy, and he had one the size of this table that, like, if you had smoke damage in your home,
Yep,
that's how you'd remediate the smell.
it worked.
Yeah, I believe in them. I use the ozonics deer hunting, and
I don't buy into that, but I do believe they work.
No, it works. Like, you just don't get smelled.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't sit there and smoke a cigarette and eat something that's stinky. But like, if you're kind of spray down, wash your clothes, and then use one of those, like, you just don't get blowed at.
I would say more so than running it in the blind. If you put one in your closet in your garage where all your hunting clothes is at, I think that would help more than
I
anything.
think a lot of them do it in like a tote or a bag.
Yeah, they make a bag that has the machine in it.
Gotcha.
But what's your favorite gun?
Oh, all of them.
The ones that go bang.
Yeah, I tell you what, one that I grew up shooting a lot, and it was actually, I guess you could say, bought for my mother. You know, one of them reasons for a guy to buy another gun,
Right.
buy it for your wife or
Yeah.
your mom or whatever, was a Browning BL-22. It was a little lever action 22. Just some pretty good little iron sights on it, and I could grab it today and just have a blast with it. So, I mean, I've got some pretty cool guns. That one stands out. You know, it's just a quality built, good shooter. A lot of memories with it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, I would say
Now,
it's
let's preface this. Is this that you currently are in possession of, or ever of all time?
I guess ever of all time.
Okay, all right.
So
This could go on all night.
well, this is the favorite. So this is a hard question to answer, because just like vehicles, I love and leave a lot of guns.
Oh yeah.
So one that sticks out in my mind is my very first gun I ever shot in my whole life. I was 5 years old. Was my grandpa's nylon 66 Remington 22.
Which is super freaking cool.
So
They're kind of, you know, sought after now.
So
if they're in good shape.
I now own it. It was gifted to me as he was cleaning out his guns, and I ended up with it. But I think I would sell that gun before I sold my 17 Hornet and CZ. I have a CZ 527 and 17 Hornet, and I think that is my favorite gun.
Okay.
I would sell every gun in my gun safe.
Dozer believes that 17 Hornet could shoot anything in North America. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of use too much gun versus not enough.
Okay.
I wanted one that was a little bit smaller around my house, and I've killed so many coons and possums, and I've killed 3 coyotes with it, and I just feel like I can't miss. In fact, it may sound cliche, but like, I do not think I've ever missed an animal with it. Like,
Okay.
it's just,
Your next one.
yeah, it may be. I actually took it daytime coyote hunting a couple weekends ago. I mean, I hand load for it. It shoots 5 shots, and you can cover them up with a nickel, and it's just amazing. No recoil, shoot without earplugs. And maybe I'm just a weird guy for like old, like rimmed cartridges, but that's probably my favorite. And plus, CZ quit making them, so
Kind of rare.
yeah.
So
Fair
don't
enough.
sell it.
No, I'm not gonna sell it. I would if I had that or my grandpa's nylon 66, I would probably sell that nylon 66, mostly because it's worth a lot more money.
Right.
But yeah. What about you, Samuel?
So, by far, my favorite is my 870, and I've said since forever, if my house was on fire and I could grab one thing, it'd be that 870. Like I don't know. It's
Back when they probably still made quality
Yeah,
870s.
it probably still has a steel trigger guard.
it does with a Clarence Funneman trigger job.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, it's been there my whole life. It's just sweet. Like, I don't plan on having kids, but that would be like an heirloom. You know what I mean? It would be something I would pass down. And I don't know, maybe girlfriend's nephew might end up with it. I don't know. But anyway,
I will say on my first 870 had a Clarence Fundament trigger job as well.
You're the one that talked me into the Clarence Fundament trigger job.
And my dad's 870 has one. It makes a big difference when you're trying to shoot slugs.
So man, I am just in love with that thing. Second place is my Garand, just because we've talked about this before, like functional pieces of history just get me going.
That's
like
something it's on the list I don't have yet.
So like it's 1945 vintage. Like name anything else in this world that's 70 years old, 75 years old that you can just go grab and it just fucking works.
And it works well.
And it works really well. You know what I mean? Like old cars, you're driving a piece of history. Old guns, you're shooting a piece of history. I don't guess that being manufactured in 1945 it killed any Nazis, but in my mind it was on its way to the front line, before maybe it was going, to the Pacific Theater to kill some Japs or something, but I don't know. It's cool.
Can we just sidebar for a minute while you're talking about that and just briefly and probably extensively discuss the Mosin Nagant? Because I remember at that John's gun shop in high school, there's a rack of them, $89 a piece.
Yeah, I'd say they're probably, depending on what they are now, I'd say $200 to $400, $500, depending on what.
So I, off of Joe, bought a hexagonal receiver Mosin, which is like a 1935, 36, something like that, which is a really early one, and it still has Cosmoline on it, and that fucking thing.
Have fun getting that off.
It's just staying on it. I shot at the Sportsman's Club a ram at 500 yards.
Yes.
It has a rear sight aperture that slides for meterage, I guess. And we had that sucker on the 1,000-meter setting, and you're literally pointing at the fucking sky. It's like artillery at that point. And like, I couldn't even really see what I was pointing at, but in 3 shots, we walked it in. And the coolest part is watching the vapor trail through iron sights when you're shooting 500 yards. And then you see the impact, then you hear the impact, and then you see the ram fall over. That was
Mosins weren't terribly accurate with some of the most garbage ammunition out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a cool gun too, but it's not in my top 3 because after the Garand, it's my 14-inch Rough Rider 22 revolver. Only because Dozer's son has a new nickname for me.
Long barrel thing. Oh man,
I think I saw a Snapchat of that gun at some point.
I'm so disappointed Dozer didn't buy one either. It was on like Rural King's website for something, and
like giving them away because they couldn't sell.
Yeah,
them.
and I text Troy because on the Rural King website says not for sale in Illinois, not for sale in Illinois. Well,
melting pot law.
Yeah, so I don't know if it got repealed or whatever, but I just text Troy. I was like, "Can you even sell these?" He's like, "Yeah, I sell them all the time. That law is bullshit or whatever." I was like, "Okay," and he's like, "You want one?" I was like, "How much?" And he told me it was like $10 more than Rural King's website, and I was like, fuck it, get me one. And then I text Dozer, and he's like, better not. And now he regrets it because it's fucking cool as shit.
I would have loved that.
Oh my gosh.
And then they had the Wyatt Earp carbine. That's the same frame and barrel with a rifle stock on it. And I was like, you need to get the, it's got Wyatt's fucking name on it. You need to, but it was like fucking $500
for a Rough Rider.
Yeah. So I have a mental issue when it comes to guns.
Okay.
I will not buy a gun
for fun.
I buy all my guns have a use,
practical
purpose. It's got to be a package, and I know that comes from my father, and that was like, oh, you can't. Why buy 2 rifles when you have 1 rifle and it does fine? And like that's where it comes from. So every gun I ever bought, I had to like gaslight myself into buying it. Like, I really need this because of this.
And I only buy guns for fun.
That's right.
Or for cheap.
Yeah, and then I do get jealous of Sam because Sam has some super cool and like fun to shoot guns, like guns you could never hunt with, and they would never even probably hit a target, but they are fun to shoot.
Like a Navy Colt revolver.
Yes.
So let's talk about what is your least favorite gun that you currently own?
I currently own.
I might need a second.
We'll come back to you.
Usually, if it's least favorite, I don't own it.
Which I have a rule that I don't sell guns, but I have one gun that I would sell.
I don't have that rule. My least favorite. Okay. All right. So my wife didn't listen to this anyway. So I was the whole like boomer fanboy, like had to have a 1911.
Well, duh.
And
2 World Wars.
That's right. So what was the gun shop west of town by the lake?
Habing's.
Yeah, Steve Habing had a gun shop, and he had a 3-inch 1911.
Okay.
And that's when Illinois concealed carry was coming out, and I was like, "This is it. A 3-inch 1911 is the concealed carry gun."
Oh yeah.
So, my wife, who had zero money, whenever we got married, she's like, "What do you want for a wedding gift?" And I said, "Well, I had given her some money to pay bills in college," and I was like, "You owe me $400."
Yes.
Anyway, so you might as well buy this $650 gun, and $450 of it will be you paying me back, and $250 can be my wedding gift. So
Or interest.
yeah, or whatever. I don't. What a dick. Looking back, what the hell?
He has to justify
Yeah,
it. Remember, we talked about this.
You know,
We're
we're
write down all the things I've paid for my wife.
We need
Oh shit!
we need to, we ain't raising no liberals. We're gonna keep them accountable.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean, if you owe someone, you owe someone.
Wyatt, you remember those chicken nuggets that I said we couldn't get, but I let you get at Walmart the other day? That's coming out of your college
me
fund.
$5.
You owe me $5.
It's like that one internet meme when they were talking about like my dad just got Venmo and he just requested $50 for t-ball lessons in 1993.
Hell yeah!
But yeah, that gun, it's not worth a shit for carrying. It's so heavy, it takes 2 people to carry it. It's all steel. It does not cycle anything but Full Metal Jacket ammo. Just 1911s doing 1911 shit.
Yeah. Whoa, easy.
But I can't.
What brand is it?
It's some Turkish bullshit.
Regency or Regent or
It's an
something like
ATI,
that.
I think.
Oh yeah, that's garbage.
Hey.
That's a nice gun.
But that gun sits in my safe in my bedroom, and I couldn't tell you the last time I pulled the trigger on it. I would be rid of it and trade it for a Glock that I could actually
But it
carry.
was your wedding gift.
It was my wedding gift. So, it's one of those, like, you ever have something you're like, this is what I need, then you get it, you're like, this is not
All
what I
the
thought it was going to
time.
be.
All the time. A WJ?
Yeah.
Definitely not.
So
Do not recommend. 0 out of 10.
That's my least favorite gun, I would say, unfortunately.
Okay. Mine is my JTS 12 gauge AK-47.
Yeah.
Never shot it. So,
I heard, are those, like, I remember Travis had one, and, like, it wouldn't cycle anything but, like, 3-inch shells.
Sega used to make one.
yeah, they did, and they were expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And
Probably because they maybe worked.
they probably did. But so it was like Black Friday a couple years ago, and Palmetto sends you an email every day. Well, on Black Friday, they send an email, hey, here's a
Every hour.
here's a AK-47 that shoots 12 gauge for $190. I was like, fuck it, sign me up.
What could go wrong?
So I fucking bought it, and it says shoots Sega mags. I was like, great. So I bought a Sega 25 round drum because, like, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed up. I went and picked it up at Troy's, and the Sega mag does not go in the JTS gun. Turns out it shoots Sega straight mags.
Not drums.
It does not use it I don't know. Something about the top part of the magazine had I don't know. So I sold the magazine, and I still never shot the gun. It's still sitting in the safe upstairs. It pissed me off. Like, it might be the best shooting 12 gauge I've ever had, but It's fucking pissed me off. No, it's not gonna be. And then I started reading a bunch of reviews online. Like, it's got a adjustable gas block on the front, and like each individual load and shot size and dram and fucking length of cartridge, you got to change your fucking gas block. Like, no thanks.
Yeah, I remember when Travis was shooting his Sega, he was like adjusting on it the whole time, and it still only shot high brass shells.
Yeah.
So that gun's for sale. DM me. I will meet you at the local gun shop, and we'll get her
There you
transferred
go.
over to you.
I would say mine is probably one that I bought for my wife. It's a Walther. I'm trying to think of, is it the PK 380 little handgun? It shoots good. It's very light recoil. It's good for a female, but the controls on it are just backwards. So typically any handgun with a safety, you would push down to take it off. No, this one you push up to take it off. It's totally not ergonomical. And then the mag release button is like a part of the trigger guard, and it hinges. It's garbage. But I bought it for her for Christmas. Like, I think it was our second Christmas together.
Well, it's British, so you.
And so I can't get
British.
rid of it. It also has a really great backstory. I had already planned on buying it. It came in a nice black case, and it didn't say Walther on the case. So I may or may not have told her that I got on some adult website and ordered her something for Christmas. It came in its own hard black case. We were at her parents'. She opened the wrapper, and it was a hard black case, and she stared at me, and she wouldn't open it. And her parents are looking at me, looking at her like, what's going on? And
Like, come on, honey, open the
finally got
gate.
her to open it, and it was like the biggest sigh of relief you've ever seen. So just because of the story, I can't get rid of it.
Oh my god.
That's
I did
awesome.
something similar to her when I proposed to her also, but you know, she's used to it now.
She's
God bless her.
she's got to know you by now, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We're good now. So
What is your dream gun?
You're gonna skip the car? Or?
Yeah, I'm done with cars.
It's just
Oh,
this
no,
long-
we have so much more to talk
I'm gonna
about.
tell you what my dream car is. though,
Okay, yeah, you
because,
can. Yeah,
Uh,
go ahead. That's what we're doing. Talking.
but, I don't. Gun wise, I don't know. I would love to own a large caliber, like a Barrett 50 cal, like the M107 or something of that nature. But
Oh yeah.
That'd be cool.
you know, it's just not really feasible. So until I maybe someday have fuck you money, I won't ever own one. But something like that'd be cool. I don't know.
But this is money is no object type of question.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
This is a hypothetical.
I mean, man, I don't know if I could pick one. Like, there's so many.
All of them.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the right answer.
You know, all of them. If I picked one, it would probably be something in the very large, unobtainable or hard to obtain precision type rifle, somewhere in that element. That's kind of my,
Something like 416 Shy-Tac.
yeah,
type
something
stuff
like
or
that.
whatever.
Something that not
Center
anybody really has and is big, you know, with the most absolute best and expensive scope I can put on it. So,
There you go.
yep. But for my dream car, someday I might have it. I want a fully tube chassis Baja Bug with A-arm suspension on the front, you know, 25 plus inches of wheel travel, LS powered.
Nice.
It may cost me 150 grand to go buy one, but
And does wheelies.
yeah, oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Like just on demand.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter what gear you're in, just hit the gas.
60 mile an hour, push
You
the
know,
gas. Does wheelies.
rear engine wheelies all day long.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So
Would be cool to put like Holly Terminator on that and set up some kind of traction control, because they can do traction control like with front
the
wheel
traction
speed. and-
controls. No.
It's all about driver experience, Dozer.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
You got to feel it.
Yeah.
I got you.
I hate traction control and I hate anti-lock brakes.
What a boomer.
I can drive better than that. Computer.
Ain't no computer going to drive
better
than me. I'm a BBC.
No, it does work. You're right. Those things do work, but I just don't like them.
Oh, fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
yeah. Yeah, that's probably my dream car.
All right. Hell yeah. I get behind that.
Sam, what's your dream gun?
So that's also pretty tough for me. So up until 2 years ago, it was a Barrett 50 cal. But it's one of those things that, first of all, don't have a place to keep it. Second of all, definitely don't have a place to shoot it.
And you can't own one in Illinois anymore.
Well, for now. But
you could get a 416 or whatever that's based off of it.
Yeah, or a smokeless muzzleloader that'll do just the same.
Yeah.
So then we gave away on the Freedom 68 raffle an M249. And now I really want one of those. And I want to own that in a like diorama, like coffee table, like with a, like all four glass, like your dad's fawn coffee table that he's got, or end table. So like basically a coffee table with like a kind of like gravelly looking substrate on the bottom with this thing set up with a half spent belt and a bunch of spent cartridges all around it, like all in resin and shit, like in a coffee table. And like in emergency break glass, like it's all live ammo. So it's got a full or belt minus a few rounds out on one side. And like if the zombie apocalypse comes, you just bust the glass and just go unleash
like
it.
Straight out of the movies.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. So that would be my dream.
Gotcha.
Dozer?
I would say my dream is probably like a big 50 cal or like a 20 millimeter, just something obscene.
Yeah. Well, are we talking things that are even legal? Because like,
if it wasn't legal, probably some sort of minigun, mounted minigun.
Oh yeah, like having your class 3 or whatever, and have fully automatic toys. Just
the other day, Wyatt, we were walking out in the yard or something. He goes, "Dad," I said, "What?" He goes, "I wish we could have machine guns." I said,
"Oh
me
boy,
too, bud. Me too."
You're not the only one.
Here's what you need to do. All right. So at Accuracy, we've got the licensure for some full auto stuff, and we've got a handful of guns. And I've allowed Hayden to shoot one of them so far, and now that's all he thinks he wants to have. I'm like, dude, we can't have those, but we can go shoot them. So the next time they have their shoot, you need to bring him by, spend $50 or $100 and let him burn a couple mags through, because it will make his day.
It's a good thing it's illegal, because I'd be broke. I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, I'm spending my whole paycheck on ammo. Let's go.
Yep. Ordering 9 mil by the pallet.
Yes. Burn it up.
My next, like on the short list, which everything on my list of stuff I want is illegal currently. So like
Welcome to Illinois.
I really want M4 Benelli real bad, and I really want
a shotgun.
You can't have a pistol grip if it's semi-auto. Like that makes perfect sense. Anyway,
you can have it. You just got to register it.
You can't.
Oh wait, no. You're right. That's if you already have it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I should know.
And then you're not a state cop. It's
He's
fine.
super worried.
I don't care.
And then a Thompson.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So I need to complete my.
We do have one of those.
I know Travis Janes has one, or it's part of the group of guys that owns one or whatever.
So we have one at the shop.
Oh, you guys have one too?
Shoot.
Well, I was gonna show up to your guys' machine gun shoot the other day, but
we'll do another one.
Okay. Anyway, I need to complete my, I would say trifecta, but it's not a trifecta, my World War II collection. So I have the Garand, I have the carbine, and now I need the Thompson submachine gun, and I would like to have, but can't afford, a World War II era 1911.
Ooh, you need a BAR too.
And you need the Winchester made a trench gun.
That's World War One.
What's that? Oh,
yeah, what is it?
18, I still want, 1887 or 97. Yeah.
Isn't that where the top fucking folds?
Well, it was a pump. It was a pump with a hammer on it, wasn't it?
Yeah. 1887, I think. Anyway, I want one, but it's not part of the World War II collection.
I understand. Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, a BAR. But then it get like, they're not reproduced. Like Thompsons are. Like you can get a Thompson.
Yep.
Auto Ordnance makes them for like $2,000. You can get them pretty easily. Can't afford a vintage.
I know where a World War II 1911 and Luger with a letter written by a soldier that said he took the Luger off of a German. I know where there's one at.
But not for sale.
Might be.
Don't have that kind of
Everything's for sale.
Everything's for sale, I guess. So anyway, like every guy when he turns 30 has to decide if he's into smoking meats or World War II.
And you just pick
I
both.
just pick both. Yeah. Except I'm not that into smoking meats. I don't have the patience for it.
Speaking of smoking meats, people gave me mad shit for not having a smoker when we were butchering this cow. They're like, you just smoke up them short ribs, and I don't have a smoker. You don't have a smoker?
You could build one.
But it's not something I'm going to get into. I'm just not going to, because I'll just fucking go overboard. And before you know it, I'll be getting up at 3 a.m, checking the fucking smoker on the deck in my underwear. And I'm just not going to go there.
Just
in my
like
life.
PRS. You don't want to come shoot with
It's
me.
because I know how much I like it. It's kind of like,
It's like meth, not even once.
not
much
even once.
That after every match that I shoot, I need another $500 piece of equipment. A match a month gets very expensive.
Oh my gosh.
So you just, I seen you got first in your last match.
Not first. I won the class or the division that I shoot in.
In his
I think
weight
I was
class.
In your class
yeah,
is
my weight
factory.
Yeah, it's
That's actually a thing because they do it by rifle weight, right?
no.
Oh.
So there's no weight restrictions.
Okay.
Fortunately, because weight's your friend.
You're right.
Yep. So I shoot the production class, so it has rules. It has to be essentially a factory gun. The manufacturer has to make, I believe, 150 of those a year minimum. And then basically that's like the chassis or the stock, and the barrel action and the trigger have to stay untouched. There's a dollar amount limit for that and the optic, and then little grips, muzzle brakes, weights, things of that nature. You can add that because that's kind of like personalization of it. No, but for that match, that was like the best placement I've done so far since I started. That was a big Pro Series match, so there was a lot of like the biggest shooters across the country there, and I think I was 42 overall out of like 160, but
Nice.
won my division.
So I guess for the listeners and even me, supposedly and possibly Sam, I guess explain what PRS is.
Well, PRS stands for Precision Rifle Series, but it's a precision rifle shooting sport. Anywhere from, we shoot 300 to 1,200 yards. Some of the one-day matches are, 500-600. Most guys can go shoot 500 yards prone. If you know anything about shooting, it's not that hard. As you know, with coyote hunting, I mean, we shoot coyotes at 300-400 yards pretty regularly.
Speak for yourself.
Anyhow, you've seen it done.
Yes. To my fucking amazement.
Yeah. How far did we shoot one when you
It
were
was
with me
like
and Kyle?
525.
Yeah, and
You're like
Kyle's
520.
a shooter.
He's like, you're like 525. I'm like, these guys are fucking idiots.
Boom.
Boom. And I just watch it in my scope. The coyote's butt goes down and his head goes down. I was just like, holy shit.
It's fun.
It's just because, at least in my scope, theirs have a little more zoom. In my scope, it just looks like 2 or 3 pixels.
Right.
Yeah. Shooting PRS helped shoot coyotes a lot better and a lot more comfortably at distance for sure. But anyhow.
So did you get into it to become a better coyote hunter, or did you get into it because you hate money?
I still blame Nathan Cushman. As
Is that
most,
the same series he's in?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
So now he's leaps and bounds ahead of me.
He's in a different class or whatever.
He
But
shoots open class, but Cushman is very good. He hadn't shot since July and placed, I think, 10th out of 160 in this last match. He's just good. Either way. So we shoot a lot of similar matches. He's a totally different level into it than I am, but he's kind of the one that got me into it. He wanted me to shoot the gap grind with him, which is a pro-am match down in Tennessee. Yeah. So you're paired up with a pro, you shoot it as a group. They can help you, but you can't help them type of deal. We ended up getting like 15th. We both took home a free rifle that day or that weekend. And I'm like, man, this is easy. No, it's not. It's easy when you have somebody good that's carrying you the whole time.
right. You probably brought his score down or whatever.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Had I, but they keep it, you can't just jump into there's guys that try to game it, but they keep it pretty strict rules. So you can't just bring somebody that's decent as a pro and then you're really going to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of the pros now will practice with their AMs all summer but they won't shoot a match so that they don't have a score to rate them on. They're still gaming it. Anyways, he's good. He's kind of the one that got me into it. I kind of snowballed into it, as I know Dozer would if I could just get him over there.
Well, I feel like I've got most of the equipment.
You've got enough to get your feet wet, and I'll loan you another scope to get your feet wet.
You're too good to me.
But
It's like, you want to borrow my crack pipe?
I'll hold the lighter.
yeah. But back to most guys, and I could take anybody that's okay at shooting and at 500 yards. My 8-year-old son can hit a 10-inch plate probably 8 or 9 out of 10 times at 500 yards.
Quit bragging.
No, it's not. What I'm getting at is it's not that difficult. So where the PRS is it's a lot of different shooting positions, barricades. You're on the clock. Your first target may be at 375 yards and your last one may be at 1100. And you've got a minute and a half to do it all.
Now, are you shooting paper or shooting steel?
It's
or
all steel targets.
Okay, so you just have to ding it.
You just have to hit it. Hit or hit or miss. Well, I shouldn't say hit or miss. If you hit it, you get a point. If you miss, it's just a miss. It's nothing. You just wasted lead, basically.
Gotcha.
So
is there like 5 targets, 5 shots, or is it like?
So most stages are 10 rounds.
Uh-huh.
There's occasional 12, but maybe 1 per match. So most stages are 10 rounds. One stage might be, here is a cattle gate. You got to shoot 2 rounds off of the top 4 rungs, 2 rounds per rung, and you're only shooting 1 target that's fixed at everything's a known distance. But that whole shooting off of a cattle gate with no other form of support is difficult. And then you got to move to a different rung. And before you know it, you may be shooting off the rung that's 10 inches off the ground. I don't know if you know, but I'm like 6'5", and I don't get that low. I don't get that small. So it's just figuring out how to, manipulate all the different positions and stages and whatnot. So, but yeah, there could be 1 target. There could be, 5 typically no more than 5 targets. And you may shoot each one twice, but it's a whole different array of, I encourage anyone to come watch it if you think you want to do it.
Where's the closest one?
So the 1-day matches, the closest ones are in over down by Evansville, Indiana. There is a guy down by Mount Vernon that's starting up some smaller 1-day matches. I'll probably go see how those are. Most of the 1-days are pretty cheap, $30 I think to get in, and they're around 100 rounds per day. So,
I mean, Sam, you've got a 6.5 Creedmoor. You're basically there.
Oh Jesus!
And
you're gonna get made fun of.
I know. That's why I won't even go, because
not because of the gun, because of the cartridge.
We need to.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, everyone fucking hates on 6.5. Like, first,
it's a good round.
I fucking paid $100 for it. Number one. Number two, I would not have bought it had I gone into a gun store to buy it. But I own it now, so I might as well shoot it.
It's a Tika.
Oh, those are good guns.
I mean, I want to go poke holes in paper with
And
it.
it's got a Night Force scope on it.
It's a Vortex.
Oh, it's Vortex?
It's a nice Vortex.
Like a hunting barrel or a heavy barrel?
Hunting barrel.
You're going to want a heavier barrel.
It's got a loudener
We
on
can
it.
do that. Oh, wow.
I think my match rifle weighs like 26 pounds.
Yeah, this thing weighs 2.6.
We can get you a Tikage barrel for that.
They do make them.
I know.
It's like winter woodland camo. I just want to go poke holes in paper. If I'm building a rifle to do that type of shit, it won't.
I shouldn't even bought one for caribou hunting. I should have just took that one.
I told you could fucking take it.
Did
I
you?
told
I
you.
don't remember that.
When the
Well,
day
then I wouldn't be able to buy a gun.
the
and
day
how
I
dare
brought
you.
the day I brought it home, you're like, you should let me borrow this and go kill an elk with it. I was like, take it anytime. You can have it.
Tika's a good gun.
And you're like, oh, I might take you up on that. And then like 2 weeks later, or 2 years later, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go kill caribou in Alaska. I was like, you can take my 6.5. You're like, 6.5. Like, all right, noted.
You did all right on that Weatherby.
So yes, and it shoots really good. I officially have more money in ammo than I have in the gun.
It doesn't take long these
No.
days.
$80 a box.
Not at all.
So my wife found out it's $4 a shot, and she's like, "You give me a hard time about going and getting a coffee every day, but you're shooting a latte out the end of that gun every time you pull the trigger." I'm like, "Yeah,
Yep.
yeah."
Yep.
I don't need your truths right now.
So on the PRS, do you have to knock it down or just ring it?
So just ring it. They're really not. Excuse me. They're really not like knockdown style targets.
Like gongs.
Sorry, so you guys don't have to go set the fuckers up every time.
No, yeah. And you know, somebody in your squad will be spotting, if not two of you, and then most of the targets beyond 800 will have a flasher on them, and it's just a red LED light, and it's attached to the back of the target, and you can just barely see it. So when it hits, because when you get that far out and you're shooting a small 6mm bullet, you can't hardly see the plate move. You can't hardly see splash on it if there's mirage. But if it detects a hit, that red light will flash. So,
Gotcha.
yep, you just got to hit it.
I would like to go watch for sure.
Yeah, come on down. I got one March 24th down by Evansville. You and Dozer can.
Guess I need to put a daytime scope on my. I'm one of those people. I don't go and watch shit. I go and do it.
Well, I got an extra gun. Shoot 6 Creed.
I got a gun.
You don't have a muzzle brake. You're gonna want one.
Oh, are you serious?
I'm dead serious. You're not gonna be able to see anything through your gun.
I have somebody in my squad spotting though.
But the name of the game is spotting your misses, spotting your hits.
I see.
Wind is a thing.
Oh yeah, I know they say elevation is a science, wind is an art.
Yeah, that wind is tricky.
Yeah, I can see that.
So
Yeah.
interesting, but tricky.
Yeah, I was going somewhere with that. Oh, knocking them down. Did you know for a brief moment in my life, and this will not surprise you, that I shot the black powder rifle cartridge competitions?
That doesn't surprise me.
So
With your white muzzleloader.
no, they were with the sharps.
Yeah.
And I called up Brad Smith.
4570.
Yes, 4570. I called up Brad Smith, and I was 16 years old, or 15 maybe. I think I was 15 because he had to give me a ride out there. And that is the only thing I wanted to do in my whole life was do that. So he came, I went over to his house. He showed me like all his reloading equipment and stuff. Super cool. He's like, if you come set up targets, you can shoot my ammo, my gun. I was like, oh, that sounds good. And I remember the first time I went out there, I got like second place. And they were so pissed because it's open sights and you got the like Quigley Down Under style fucking
peeps.
Yep.
peep. And they're like, you damn kids in your young eyes. You know, these are all 60, 70-year-old guys.
Yeah.
And they're out there all day.
They're out there all day and they're loud. I mean, they're shooting like 700 grain lead bullets. And once again,
artillery.
They said at 500 yards, the bullet reaches treetop height.
I can believe it.
So and you shoot on sticks. They got sticks they put in the ground, and they got a piece of tape on the end of the barrel where you put your sticks every time. So the high powered rifle guy in me, you don't want anything touching the barrel. These fuckers just lean the fucking gun right on the barrel, which I mean, it's like inch and a 16th by inch and a 16th octagon barrels. Like, I guess you're probably just not gonna
bend it.
You're not gonna.
I don't think it moves much.
No, and they're super low pressure. They're black powder rounds. I remember you'd shoot, and then you'd open up the breech. Brass comes out, and you had a piece of brass with a tube on it, and you had to blow in the barrel because your spit would soften up the fouling. And then when you shot the second time, and I remember you had to do that every time, and after shooting it 2 or 3 times and going out there, so we didn't have a four-wheeler, so I'd have to walk
500 yards,
200, 300, 400, and 500, put these steel targets up, and then you had to spray paint them every time too, because they hit, when they hit them, that would leave a mark, so you would have to spray paint over them. So, I mean, it took like 30 or 40 minutes to set those targets up, and it was like just me, and I was like, and I had to walk. It was terrible.
Why didn't they have a four-wheeler?
I don't know, and why I didn't bring. I think I was like, Dad, can I bring yours? He's like, oh hell no!
You're gonna shoot a hole through my gas tank.
Out there wasting your time.
Even a bicycle would have been nice.
Yeah, it was. So finally, and then I got a girlfriend, and I was way more interested in other things than that.
Duh.
So I ended up quitting on him.
There's a lot of things that I'm less interested in than girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understandable. But yeah, that was, but those you had to knock them off the rail. So if you hit them and they didn't fall, it didn't count. And at 500 yards, you had to hit them pretty good with a bullet traveling fucking 200 feet a second to knock them off
Well,
the
a bullet.
rail.
It was a brick.
Yeah. But you could go out there and pick the bullets up off the ground.
Yeah.
So the bullet would hit the steel target
And just fall
and
to the
just
ground.
fall on the ground, and like the nose would be bent a little bit.
Ever use this motherfucker?
Yeah.
Technology is wonderful.
Yeah, it really is.
The old 7.62 by 54 didn't have no trouble.
No.
Yeah, they don't like you shoot them steel rams with modern rifles.
I doubt it even left a mark, honestly.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I mean, we honestly didn't think we'd do it, but I mean, when they have them Rams set up and you're out there with a 223,
It's so
it
hard
is
not
pretty
to.
tempting.
We've all done it.
Pretty tempting. So
Something about shooting steel just.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming those black powder cartridge silhouettes are not AR 500.
Oh, I
They're
bet
probably
they're just mild.
steel.
Yep.
But so yeah, I part of the expensive part of hunting is I got into hunting coyotes at night. And Cody didn't necessarily get me into that, but he definitely keeps the momentum going.
He's an encourager.
You know, I think I went with Repke the first time, but I went with you and Ryan a couple times
Yeah, but I mean, me and Ryan
before I had anything, before I had any scopes or anything.
Me and Ryan started with, he bought a Bushnell digital night vision monocular, and we shot at them with lights. So, and then a lot of people, like Repke killed quite a few coyotes with lights, but we never connected, but we called them in all the time, and you turn the light on, they just run away, which hindsight now, I know you have to keep the light on the whole time.
So it's not something new.
It's not something new. And then you've got like the bright part of your light, and then you've got like the halo around it that's not as bright. You're supposed to like use that until you're ready to shoot them.
Or you just buy a thermal.
Yeah. Well, then we bought night vision, and my dad used to call us the professors because all we did was educate coyotes. And man, we would call in. I remember one time when he had an X sight. And he didn't have a tripod. He was shooting off a fucking Primos fucking quick trigger stick. And I had a tripod. It was a Night Stalker from Night Goggles. You know, the legs were about that big around.
Yeah.
And we were up by Neoga, and we called in 9 coyotes. And they came in, all 9 of them. And, I mean, we just probably emptied our guns and killed 1. You know, it was the most, but if we would have had good stuff back then, it'd have been a completely different.
Well, it's like, that's like anything though. If you had better equipment, how
Yeah.
much different, you know what I mean?
But yeah, it's fun. It's addicting. The problem is just about the time you're ready to quit doing it because you're like, this is stupid and like it's dumb. Then you have a really good night and kill a bunch.
Boost your morale.
And it's better than drugs. I mean, I guess I haven't done drugs, but it must not be better than drugs because I still have my job and shit and my life. But it's pretty awesome.
It's
so
fun.
I saw an Instagram reel, like coyotes, sure, whatever. I want to put a thermal on my 22
Oh boy.
and go murder rats. There was an Instagram reel, like guy was out in a fucking horse barn or something, and there was like 150 rats just running around, and he just like unloads on these motherfuckers, just killing the hell out of them with a thermal.
I've seen guys do that with like pellet guns too.
Okay.
Yeah, videos of it.
Yeah, you probably follow him, that Spike Davis. He does cartoons for Predator Masters
I think
or whatever,
I know who
Predator
you're talking
Extreme.
about.
And he lives in Chicago, so his job does not pay him anything. He works for a mission as a car mechanic or like a church, and he works on people's cars all day for free. The church gives them food and housing.
Okay.
So he also is an excellent cartoonist, and he started drawing like cartoons for coyote hunting in one of the coyote hunting catalogs. Well, somebody sent him a pellet gun with a $1,500 thermal scope on it.
Okay.
And he like whacks and stacks rats up in Chicago
Yeah.
with it. And he like posts on Facebook all the time. You know, he like lay them out and stuff, you know, like guys do with their coyotes. And
Yeah.
And those scopes video, so he is always posting videos. Like he'll be sitting in an alley and a rat will come out from like behind a dumpster. And he'll shoot it.
Hell yeah.
Well, there you go. You need to get hooked up with him.
Yeah.
No, the only other thing that's really fun with thermals, and Dozer's been a part of it, is taking boys, like our 2 boys, coon hunting.
Okay.
You just literally drive around on the side by side until you find a coon in a tree, and then you get off and let the boys shoot it. And they stick out,
And there's coons just everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll go coyote hunting, there'll be 10 coons in a field while you're hunting. But they had a competition, didn't they? How many?
So we hunted in one this year. It was pretty small. And where were we at? I think we were at 60, just over 60 between 4 guys in one night.
Yeah, but the big one, they kill like 600.
Oh, no. So the one that I hunted in a couple years ago that Cushman used to put on, there was over 1,000 coons brought in that tournament.
Yeah.
There were truck beds mounded full of them, and like the suspension wanted no more.
Well, then the coon hunters, the guys who have dogs instead of thermal scopes, were pretty upset over the deal.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, but some of them don't even shoot them; they just want to tree them and work them.
Well, and exactly, and we're trying to get rid of them for management purposes because they eat the ground nesting birds and all that stuff. But I've been coon hunting with dogs probably 10 times in my life. And if we've killed 5 coons in those 10 times, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
And then if you come up to a tree that's got 2 coons in it, you can't shoot it because it messes with the dogs. And it's like, this is the dumbest thing ever.
Just kill them.
I mean, I like seeing dogs work and everything, but if I'm gonna go hunt something and not kill it, I'll get a bird dog instead of a coon dog.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So, Sam, this is off topic, or this changes our topic, but earlier I mentioned Volkswagens, and you said we were going to get to that.
Oh, well, Dozer had previously talked to me this morning talking about how either you or your dad used to race Mayora.
Mm-hmm.
And my uncle used to race Mayora back in the fucking 70s.
Which Mayora is like Mid-America Off-Road Racing Association.
Something of that, yeah.
But I didn't know if that was done with by the time that you were.
So no, it wasn't. I'm trying to think. They quit sometime. I was born in 91. They quit just before I was born.
Okay.
But he started when he was 16, so that would have put Dad. That would have been right around 1980, probably.
Okay.
So I don't know your uncle's name.
His name's Larry Fitzgerald.
He probably
knows your dad.
Probably knows him. But yeah, so Mayora continued after that, and they still have a small group of people that still race. They don't get a whole lot of involvement. It's just kind of a dying thing. But when I was probably 13, 14, somewhere in there, one of Dad's employees started racing the truck class with him.
Right.
And so they were still doing it pretty big then, and the trucks were real big then. So that was kind of my experience with it, because I would go with him to all the races and ride shotgun with him and whatever. And
so the guy you raced with was Justin Brummer.
Yep.
And he had a brother named Ryan that was my age.
Yep.
And we were going to buy a truck from Carlin.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and
probably Dirk
Carlin. He had a truck. We were going to buy a $750. Me and Ryan were going to split it. We had no way to tow it. So I had a Jeep Cherokee. Ryan had a Jeep Cherokee that was lifted, and mine was lifted, and mine was lifted less. So we thought, we'll tow it with my Jeep. So we thought, well, we better test this. We figured Ryan's Jeep Cherokee weighed about the same as
a Ranger.
So we put Ryan's Cherokee on my dad's 16-foot car trailer and towed it around the mall and back. And by the time we got back, we're like, no, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. So I actually had the money out of the bank and everything. I was going to do it, and we chickened out at the last minute.
So the Carlins still race. Clint works for Dan Hecht, And I think he still races a buggy, and his dad's racing a buggy now too.
Gotcha. I feel like if they got like a razor class going, it would probably take
I
off.
think it just needs it needs some support. It needs somebody that's in the business, in that industry, to help push it.
Well, the problem I think is like the type of track setup that they have doesn't really lend itself to side by side so much, because about a decade ago I watched a Mayor race at KZ, and then Cody and I and RIP Josh Durbin had that Midwest side by side series, and we raced a course at KZ.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, this is the old Mayor track. This is where they went, because they kind of went through the property and they kind of crossed a couple tracks and stuff. And we did it, and it did not suit our needs at all, just because of the speeds that we hit. It's just so much different than.
Oh, absolutely.
And it didn't really lend itself. So I don't really know if you could add a side by side class to Mayor or not, but.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you'd have to tailor your tracks, and even the modern buggy and truck class stuff, you know, the bigger off-road stuff, it's a lot more open track now than what it used to be.
Okay.
Because they're just, you know, the technology, the equipment, they're faster, they're, you know, so.
I mean, man, them guys would take those 2-wheel drive Rangers and just be wide open the whole time, man. Just
no muffler. Bang! Yeah. So my uncle, growing up, he has, I don't know, 7-something acres over in Charleston, and it's just not a junkyard, but there's just shit everywhere. Like, you just be walking through the woods, like being a kid, you know, and like, here's an old pickup truck, and walk a little more, and here's this old Volkswagen buggy. Like, you just be like, hey, Uncle Larry.
Do you want to sell it?
I don't know if he even has it still. Like, what is this? Oh, that's my old race car. Like, what do you mean race car? He's got 2 Ford Galaxies in his driveway, sunk in the gravel down to the frames that they used to race stock car in Charleston. Like,
so he's like you and guns, doesn't sell nothing.
Yes. So anyway, I'm like tell him, like, what? Like, oh, what do you mean race car? Like, this is not a car. This is like a go-kart. Like, no, it's a Volkswagen. Like, huh? Like, see that Volkswagen Beetle over there? That's what it used to be, you know? And then we'd go get all starry-eyed, nostalgic about racing Mayor, and I like the one story that sticks with me, which you probably understand.
I already know what story this is.
You know what I'm talking about. Like, the whatever class he was in, like a stock or lightly modified or whatever, you had to run a stock engine. But in order to get more power, you couldn't put an aftermarket camshaft in it. That was illegal. And they don't make an adjustable timing set at this time back in the 70s. So they would take the camshaft out, put it in the vise, heat the cam gear up with a torch, and twist it to advance the cam just a little bit to squeeze a few more horsepower out of that air-cooled VW engine. So
it's funny you say that, because Dad would race. They raced several classes over the course of the years, but their last car was a super stock class, and it had a lot of engine restrictions on it.
Right.
And he would, on that, I still have that engine in my garage at home, and it was in the buggy up until last summer.
Your buggy.
My buggy, yep. I just literally grabbed it from under the bench when I got it done. I needed a motor to get in it so I could drive it.
Fresh. You could literally grab it. Yep. And
new piston rings, cylinders, everything was all the same. Freshened it up, threw it in, it started, we drove it.
Okay.
To get the compression ratio he wanted, which was extremely high for a stock Volkswagen, he machined the cylinders so the piston actually comes out of the cylinders. It has a negative deck height.
Okay.
But then he machined the heads had to be a certain cc.
Okay.
So he machined a lip in the heads
to receive the piston.
But then the heads were way larger cc than what the bare minimum was per the rule book.
Okay.
And it's somewhere in the 13-to-1 compression range.
Oh yeah.
So if in my buggy, when I drove it in the summertime, I had to run like 3 quarts of VP 110 from Cody at the CW there with 93 pump gas, or it would just detonate like you wouldn't believe.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting what they did back in the day to get those things tweaked.
And they didn't have the fucking internet.
No, none of it.
All of it was like rumor and folklore, and you know what I mean.
And
It's
then
like,
gearing was big. Dad built transmissions for everybody.
Yeah.
Yep. He'd go in and he would take
The old 6 rib.
6 ribs, 3 ribs, whatever. He would go in and take stock gear ratios from different models and make them all work because they were still stock gear ratios.
Just
Different ratios.
first gear out of a bus,
Yeah,
second gear out of a super Beetle, third gear out of a regular Beetle. And
yeah.
So it was very interesting.
yeah, that's freaking awesome.
So, and then, like all the suspension stuff, like when I built mine, I got rid of all the Volkswagen torsion
Right.
and went with coilovers that come off of razors. When he first saw it and drove it, he's like, "What in the world are you doing?" And he drove it and he's like, "Oh my, this is better than anything we ever had."
Like,
They
yeah,
were
about
dealing with-
50 years of fucking
Yeah, they were
technology,
dealing
old
with
man.
ball joint front ends that they could get like 7 1/4 inches of travel out of.
Oh man, I bet they just beat the dog piss out of
He
them.
said a good seat was a must.
Well, do you remember? I think it was Redbird. A long time ago, we went jeeping at Redbird, and there are these 2 dudes in dune buggies. They weren't like Mayor buggies. They were like
Like a woods buggy or
like a rail,
Yep.
like you would see, like no body work at all. And they had like V-tread tractor tires on the back, like 32-inch V-treads. And these dudes are like bobbing through these freaking Jeep trails, just launching over shit
those
with
things will
momentum
climb hills like you wouldn't believe.
because all the weight's over the
they
axle.
they let her eat.
So that guy came with us. That's one of
Oh yeah,
that's one of Greg's friends. Mark Klein is his name.
Okay.
That was at Interlake. It had a EOTech in it.
Ecotech.
Ecotech, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, an Ecotech in it, and I think I'm still friends with the dude on Facebook. But yeah, yeah, he came with us, but it was a totally different. We would try to like crawl over something. He just had to hit it with speed.
Just launch it.
Front wheels in the air, just wah.
Which they didn't really weigh anything. It's probably hard to break one of those, honestly.
Dude, those were everywhere down at Land Between the Lakes. I mean, there was probably 30 of them down there.
I'd like to go down there. I built mine a little too nice, but I still want to take it. If I could find a cheap frame, I still have a junkyard of Beetles and buses that was Dad's.
I need to
parts
come
bin.
see these sometime.
They're pretty rough, but there's all kinds of stuff down there.
Still like junk.
Yeah. Who doesn't like
I just
junk?
like
Speaking
walking
of
through
junk, you know where we need to take a field trip to this spring before it gets real nasty?
Stutzman's?
That too. Roger Eaton.
Oh yeah. So
Hell yeah.
I ran into a guy the other day from that area,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Is Roger Eaton still?" Oh yeah, And then we kind of talked about. It. He said that guy's got more money than anybody in the area.
Well, that
Where's this
doesn't
at?
farm.
Yeah,
Any
Does he
non-farmer.
have a junkyard or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
up by Finley. So
I haven't been to a good junkyard in a long time.
This is
good
a
one.
good because the guy, bless his heart, like you said, he's got more money. He knows what
sell
to
a
do.
damn thing.
He doesn't sell it. Like, hey Roger, what do you want for this shock absorber off this old Ford pickup truck? What do you give me for it? $10. Oh, I do better than that. Like, what do you want for it? What do you give me? Like, $15. Oh, you're gonna do better than that. And like, all right, Roger, $20 final offer. I'll just keep it. Like, all right then. Guess I'm
So
not
the
buying it.
issue I found with him is you'd be like, "What do you want for the transfer case out of that pickup truck?" He'd be like, "I don't know. Go pull it, bring it up here. We'll talk." So you go pull this transfer case out of this truck, bring it up there. What do you want for it? And then the whole bullshit that Sam just said
And
would
then you
happen.
leave.
And then you leave, and he's got the fucking thing pulled out, it's sitting in his driveway, and he fucking sells it to the next person.
Pretty
'Cause
much.
he did that too on the bus. There was a bus that had propane mixer set up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
He's like, "You pull it off and bring it up here. We'll talk." So we went and pulled it all off and brought it up there. I'm pretty sure we left without it.
We left without. I remember that distinctly. It was like an old school bus that was running
Yeah.
on propane.
Sounds like he's got it figured out.
He must.
Then he had that old boat just chilling.
Yeah.
Giant ass boat.
Oh man, dude, we don't have fun anymore. You know that?
Why
just don't.
not? Why not?
We got
Getting old, growing up.
We got sponsorabilities now.
Oh, damn it, Tommy.
Children, that's the problem.
I
I ain't got none of
It
those.
doesn't have that. So.
I do probably owe Roger eating a window though, because we had to test. We had to test the spark plug.
We owe him
theory.
probably 7 or 8 windows because that was because we were getting parts off of the Commando that he had.
Yes.
And I was like, there's no way this motherfucker got a Jeep Commando. Like, Roger, do you have a Jeep? Yeah, this way you go down there.
Bought off a black preacher from Matt Toomb. He knew where he got everything from.
And so we're in there fucking with it, and like, I need an air cleaner or something. I don't know what
It's
the fuck.
I think the grill, maybe.
What
No,
is-
because Jason. Anyway, don't
It
matter.
doesn't matter. But anyway, I took a spark plug out, and I was like, Dozer, did you know spark plugs break windows? He's like, bull fucking shit. So I smashed one with a rock, and like, there was like a
There's a
bus or
S10, I think.
S10 or something. I was like, check this out. Boom, goes right through. He's like, what the fuck? And then he took one through at the windshield. Ding. He's like, you're full of shit.
But we found out it'd be the side windows.
Yeah.
They wouldn't bust the windshields,
Yeah.
but so then like we got this handful of broken spark plugs. We're walking around
what do we do?
like shit. Looking back, he probably wanted to sell those windows.
Or at least the interior in those vehicles that was protected by
Oh,
sale.
he wasn't selling shit. Fuck him.
Roger, if you're listening, we're sorry.
Does he have any? Does he have
Something
any?
tells me he's not.
He's probably not.
Does he have any Beetles? Old Beetles.
Oh, I guarantee he does.
He had a
Problem
bu-
is-
there was a bus out there. I
Problem is, you
remember.
find them, they're out. They're not worth nothing. So
Right.
if anybody's listening and you got a good clean Beetle, let me know.
There was one in T-Town for sale for $5,900. It was a red one, but it was like, I don't even remember. It was like a 75. And I walked in there, and they're like, "What?" I was at Ping's, and they're like, "What year is that Beetle?" Like, it's 75. Oh, is it a Super Beetle? I'm like, I don't fucking know. So I go back out there, and it said Super Beetle on the for sale. They're like, oh, junk. I don't want no Super Beetle, which I don't know what the difference is.
So Super Beetle, they went to I think they called the McPherson strut. front end.
Technically,
Okay,
And so
sounds better.
basically they do ride good or better than the old school beam cars,
Okay,
but you're relying on a really weak body system, unibody system with the Volkswagen,
Uh-huh.
and the struts are all supported, by that.
uh-huh.
You can beef them up and run cross braces and stuff in there if you want to, but they weren't sought after for the guys that really wanted to use a Beetle for what they were known for.
Sure, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Gary Wines has a convertible
a cabriolet.
cabriolet.
Mm,
Tim Tutt had a cabriolet. It was the fuel injected one.
so I need a couple good bodies. I would like to have a running, nice, classic Beetle that will have a turbo under the hood that nobody sees.
Under the bonnet. I have a customer that has a 96 or 97 Beetle from Mexico.
Yeah, I'd love to find a couple from Mexico.
That thing, it's got air conditioning.
Because if I
That-
can ever,
No shit.
It's cool. It is.
air cooled and
Yeah, it is cool.
I've talked to Cody Willenberg a bunch about it, but if I can ever afford a really nice new side-by-side, it's going to be a Beetle. I'm just going to do
Put
the
a Beetle
body,
body on it.
swap and make it legal for the road and let her eat.
That'd be cool. I would like to do that with a Mini Cooper.
Yeah, I've
think-
seen that done.
That'd be cool.
yeah, I've seen them done with a Suzuki Samurai too.
Mm,
They look
Lot-
good.
lots of people do it and ride good and street legal.
Mm-hmm. Noisy though. When you close them noisy side-by-sides, then it's worse.
Yeah, I could
Yeah,
see.
with 10.
Depending on how you
Yeah.
did your firewall setup. I've told multiple people multiple times, like a lot of guys, you go out Tennessee or whatever, people have aftermarket exhaust on their side by sides. The only time I'm okay with it is like on Cody's race car because you're
It's
in
a
it.
max effort thing.
Yeah, but like I would like a pipe and exhaust for a Razor is like $700 for like the I don't know what I don't even know what brand it would be, but like the good high end exhaust for one, and it's loud. Like I would give good money if somebody made a non-catalytic converter exhaust that was quieter than stock. I would pay really good money for it because like I don't want to listen to a 2-cylinder engine run.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's got less than 6 cylinders, it sounds like shit, regardless of what you do to it.
Hold on. The old opposed Volkswagen sounds pretty good.
I mean, for a Volkswagen, like it's unique. I'll give you that. It's
It has
unique.
Its own sound.
It's unique. I don't.
My neighbor at my old house didn't think it sounded that great when we were fucking riding that rail with a super trap.
Hell yeah! But
that had the chassis. The tubes were like they had frozen.
Yeah, the water had gotten in the tubes and froze. Yes.
Anyway, my point is it's a 2-cylinder.
Yeah.
And it's not even a good 2-cylinder. Like you could argue that a Harley sounds good with loud exhaust on it, and it probably does, but not to me. Like I want to hear mini cylinders in unison singing the song of their people.
Well, and then most of yours are turbo cars. My brother's NA 4-seater is double as loud with his stage 5 exhaust on it, and it is
Unbearable.
It's unbearable.
Yeah. Like I'm in this thing to relax, listen to music, drive through the countryside. I don't want to hear my engine. I want to hear trap music or country music or whatever I'm listening to at that point.
The only thing I get riding with Sam is tinnitus.
My Razor now is not as loud as my 1000.
No, your Razor is not loud, but the music you play in it is.
Did you ever ride my 1000 with that sound top over there?
Oh,
It
no.
had
Not.
6 speakers that were 2 inches above your head. That son of a bitch was loud. That was loud.
Yeah, I didn't have as much fun as I probably should have back in those days. I was trying to be a big boy and be responsible and all that. Stupid.
Fucked up. Do you have any questions left?
Not really. I mean, your favorite car story, memory, but
We've kind of already been talking about all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I was just
and
wondering.
then we're supposed to do what did you learn?
I didn't write anything down. We're out of practice.
Yeah, exactly.
I learned. I guess I didn't learn shit because I knew this, but Dozer only buys guns that have a practical purpose.
I learned that Sam would only sell one gun, and Cody shoots PRS because he hates money.
Not to get better at Kyle hunting.
Yeah.
So do you want to buy that gun or
No.
Oh.
Nope. Can't find a you gaslight me into a practical use for it, and we can talk.
Oh shoot! I'll be thinking. I'll be thinking of it.
Snow goose hunting.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I did think about that.
25 round drum. Oh, it won't work.
Well, you have to get the JTS brand drum, I guess.
Oh,
to
I
get
see.
it. But it's only a 15 round drum, which is
We've already
fucking
established
lame.
you'll let me use any of your guns to hunt, so maybe I'll just borrow it.
All right.
I used to take your over and under dove hunting quite a bit. I do like that gun.
I do like that gun as well.
What is it?
It's a Franke over and under.
And it
I bought it so that I could do better at shooting skeet, and I shot worse than with my 870.
yeah, me and Sam, I guess while we're talking guns, me and Sam got heavy in the summer of 2012.
I was just talking about this with Travis Tucker.
So we got heavy into shooting clay pigeons. So we shoot 5-stand, sporting clays, and skeet, and maybe a little trap. But I think that summer alone, we shot 2,000 rounds each.
Because it was like a weekly tradition. It was like a weeknight. What was skeet night?
Tuesday night.
Yeah, so Tuesday night I'd
We
come
couldn't
down.
go on Sundays because you went to church all day on Sundays because you had your audio-visual bullshit or whatever. So we had to shoot Tuesday nights.
So I would come down to Effingham for Matt Toon, and we would shoot 5-stand or skeet or whatever they had going
On Tuesdays.
on Tuesday night, and then we'd go back to Dozer's house and go into the basement and crack open some ice cold Bud Lights or Bush Lights. They were Bush Lights.
Yeah, probably bush
Oh,
lights.
surely not that tranny fluid.
Well, back then it wasn't.
Yeah, back then, exactly.
And we would clean guns and then reload like 200 rounds
For the next week.
For the next week. And we didn't know how fucking good we had it back then.
So, and then we're like, well, shot is expensive. So I found a place on eBay that sold reclaimed shot. So it's all different sizes. It's like
Skeet
4
salad.
Yeah, we call it skeet salad. And
We just mix it all up in the tumbler.
Oh my gosh, those were good times, man. We burnt a lot of red dot that summer.
Oh yeah,
So
When you could buy it cheap.
when you could buy it, yeah.
yeah, I think my dad had like an 8-pound jug of red dot,
And we used it all.
We were just lipping off of that thing.
Well, what happened was like the very next summer, the price of powder doubled.
Yeah.
And I still have upstairs, I still have like a whole huge ass box full of empty boxes that I was gonna because he's got a picture of me digging in a trash can. We went to Oakland Sporting Clays, and people up there are rich, and they just
Apparently.
and they just throw their once fired double A holes in the trash. So I'm digging through double A holes. I've got
Sam got like a 55-gallon trash bag full of once fired double A's.
Those are like gold.
And so anyway, like I said, people in Oakland are rich, so they threw them all away. So I dug them out of there, and I had all these empty boxes. We were gonna reload like 200 boxes of ammo and have them in ammo boxes, and then like the price of powder fucking doubled. No, it's lead shot doubled, and we were like, well, fuck. You can get the federal value pack at Walmart for like $21 for 100 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
We can't reload for that, so we shot that for ever after that.
Yep.
And now you can't even buy that shit anymore.
When I shot Skeet League, it's been a while ago, before my kids were around, so probably 10 years ago. My cousin still shoots it. Him and his dad always reloaded. He would reload for me, but he told me, he's like, it's going to be about the same price as factory. However, he had a pretty good tailored load that we liked, so that's what I stuck with. But it didn't save us any money.
Yeah. The only advantage would be like if you wanted to put like an ounce and a quarter in that motherfucker or
Yeah,
something.
and the big thing was for Skeet when we were shooting League, like whatever he loaded was lower pressure. It wasn't as much recoil, and it was noticeable. You shoot 100 rounds, you could tell that you weren't
At the end of the night, you're like,
flinching, and
Yeah.
yep.
So what started the whole thing is I was wanting to sell the Sportsman's Club hats. And they're like, if you want to sell us hats, you got to come to a meeting because we have meetings on Tuesday night. And they said, also bring your gun if you want to shoot skeet. Or maybe my dad's like, well, they shoot Tuesday nights, bring a gun. So the only thing we had bullets loaded for was 28 gauge. And my dad has a SKB 28 gauge over and under. I brought out there, and while I was waiting for my turn at the meeting or whatever, I went and shot around, and I shot a 24 out of 25. And I was like, oh, this might be something. Well, that was the best I ever was. It just got worse from there.
yeah.
And, bought a 12 gauge, and I bought a TriStar from Steve Habing and shot it all summer. Like I said, I think I run 2,000 rounds through that gun. I liked it because it just had the same chokes as my Benelli. Why I just didn't shoot my Benelli, I don't know. But
Because it wasn't a gentleman's gun.
yeah, it was,
$100 gun, $1,500 gun. This doesn't make sense.
so well, I didn't want to bend over to pick up them empties,
And it was camo, and you
Yeah.
can't be shooting
Yeah.
Skeet League with a
So-
camo gun.
So Rebecca Bickle listens to this. So when we spent our summer out in Wyoming on our internship, Rebecca, apparently they don't know what skeet is out there. They only shoot trap,
Right.
that I could tell. Weird Western folk. But Rebecca had shot competitively in high school, I believe. So her dad was a gunsmith, and she had this gorgeous 1100 Remington, adjustable everything. And we're like, okay, we'll go out and shoot. Well, the only gun I had, I brought my Benelli out there, and I shot a couple 25s in trap with that Benelli, and I had a Stevens Model 820B, and it was chopped off at 16 and a quarter inches, no bead. And my roommate Vincenzo had never shot a gun in his life. He was from a big city in Colorado, and sometimes Vincenzo with that Stevens 820B or whatever it was would outshoot Rebecca, and she was not happy about that.
Little
at
little
times.
salty.
I believe the words were constantly mediocre. and the deal was whoever lost had to clean guns, and I don't think I cleaned my gun any that summer.
Yeah.
So she'll probably ride in with that memory. Maybe her memory is a little different than that, but it was a good time.
Yeah, trap's a little different than skeet. I
And
will say that for sure.
I remember her dad, we started shooting prairie dogs, and her dad sent her in the mail or whatever when her mom came and visited a 17 HMR. And I was shooting a 243 Winchester Super Short Mag that I was reloading on the end table. I had clamped my reloading press to like the coffee table at this like hotel we stayed in all summer. And then another guy named Nathan Gillespie, he was shooting a 270 short mag. And I have a picture on my phone. He hit near a prairie dog, didn't even hit it, and killed it.
Well, the smallest bullet for a 270 is probably
You know, he was shooting like
90s,
Winchester, like the platinum
90 grain or something.
They were like 60, 80 bucks a box back then. So I also opened my phone up to find the picture of Sam digging through the trash. And one of the first pictures that came up was my dad's cousin had sold a Finn Mosin to the gun shop in Altamont. And I didn't know it. I'd have bought it off of him. And I seen it sitting on the rack. I was like, is that a Finn? He's like, yep, it's already sold on Gunbroker or something like that. So, and those were noticeably nicer than your normal
Looks
Mosins.
nicer.
But
That it does.
anyway, Sam, I'll find the picture you digging through the trash. You can use it as the thumbnail on this.
All right, perfect. Anything else we want to talk about on this episode?
Yeah,
Are we done,
I'm
or-
about over this.
Okay, well, I got to pee anyway, so.
Yeah, as do I.
All right, well, guys, thanks for riding along with us. Cody, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
No, I had fun.
And if you guys like the gun talk, maybe we'll do another one sometime. Give us some feedback.
If you hate it, then move to Canada, you liberal. All right, guys, thanks for riding along with us. We'll catch you on the next one.
See you guys later.
Do you know what's worth fighting for when it's not worth dying for? Does it take your breath away and you feel yourself suffocating? Does the pain weigh out the pride and you look for a place to hide? Did someone break your heart inside? You're in ruins. 121 guns. Lay down your arms and give up the fight. 121 guns. Throw up your arms into the sky. You and I. When you're at the end of the road and you lost all sense of control and your thoughts have taken their toll, when your mind breaks the spirit of your soul, your faith walks on broken glass and the hangover doesn't pass. Nothing's ever built to last. You're in ruins. 121 guns. Lay down your arms and give up the fight. 121 guns. Throw up your arms into the sky. You and I. Did you try